Welcome back to Weekend Today. It's that time of year again. It's tax season, and to help us get a little insight on tax reform and what to watch out for during this tax season is tax expert Andrew Poulos joining us now live this morning. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me
Good
on.
to have you. Okay, so we were talking a little bit earlier about the do's and don'ts, and one of the big things I think this year is just to make sure you haven't been scammed. Right.
It's certainly a hot topic every year, but obviously the crooks and the scammers get savvier as time progresses. So you want to be careful to not get scammed. A lot of different scams going around, from email scams to telephone scams, are the most notorious. Don't give your social security number or your personal information out to anyone over the phone. One thing folks need to know is the IRS doesn't call. They don't make outbound calls. They don't call and threaten you to lock you up in jail. They don't threaten to send a sheriff out. So if you get one of those calls, don't give any information out. Hang up the phone. Also,
you could have good history with a tax expert trying to help you file each year, and then all of a sudden things go wrong. You've had a couple of cases where that happened specifically, right?
Certainly, I've represented a lot of folks over the years that have had tax problems. Look, what folks need to understand is that there's many good tax preparers out there, and of course there's also the batch out there that are scrupulous, who don't care or may not have the experience, or may just be negligent, period, and put things on your tax return that will get you audited and get you in trouble. Ultimately, you as a taxpayer are responsible when you sign on the bottom line. So you have to be careful. If something doesn't look right, if something doesn't seem right, take an extra moment or two to look at your return before you sign it and you send it off.
It's got to pass the smell test.
Is there a better I've heard people filing their taxes early. Is there an incentive for that? Is there a benefit to do that? I mean, I'm a procrastinator, so we always at our house, we wait until the last minute.
Oh, we do.
I mean, what is the benefit?
You and millions of others that come in the office at the 11th hour.
You hate us, but we're there.
There's many procrastinators.
There's so many of us.
There are many procrastinators. This year, though, normally I would say that being a procrastinator might be okay in some situations, right? You want to make sure that you have all your information versus rushing to get something done. You miss some income information, and then here you are 6 months or a year later, you're getting a letter from the IRS. This year, you want to be a little more prepared because of the Equifax data breach. There's going to be many people impacted out there across the country, not just in Atlanta where Equifax is located. So you want to start early. The earlier you can file, having all your information you can file, probably the better off you'll be, because you'll be able to, in essence, cut off the crooks from potentially having your information and filing a fraudulent return. The way tax scams work is they'll use your social and claim you as a dependent or claim you on another return to get a refund. And once your social has been compromised with the IRS, it could take anywhere from 10 to 12 to 15 months for the IRS to clear up.
So you're saying the more time there is, that gives someone else more time to come after and try to scam.
You might have already been compromised by the Equifax breach, and so this could find out there's a problem when you do file.
You're not going to know if your social security number's been effectively breached for tax purposes, for tax identity theft, until you file. If you file your return and it comes back, you file electronically and it comes back as your social's being used on another return, you know that you've been compromised, and at that point the only alternative is to file a paper return with an identity theft affidavit to the IRS. They will open up an investigation, and then until they conclude the investigation, they're not going to issue you a refund, and that could take literally up to a year to a year and a half potentially.
My head's spinning, and we haven't even discussed next year's tax planning.
When I just think of taxes, I think this is so overwhelming. This is so confusing.
I think there's anxiety. I think it's a real thing.
And then I don't want to do it, and I think that's where the procrastination comes in. Maybe it's organization, but it's, hey, I need these receipts. If I've changed jobs, if I've changed location,
or had a life change,
or had a life change, baby on the way. There's so many things that go into it. Is there something that people can do to stay organized, to where this anxiety and this stress doesn't come every March, every early April?
I tell folks all the time, it's a simple process, but people tend to make it more complex than it needs to be. But in January, this time of the year, we're all receiving information from different organizations, employers, charities, retirement accounts. Pop those all in a folder, keep them organized. Therefore, you're not scrambling to try to find something because you have it in one drawer here or another drawer there. So organization is the key.
Real quick, because this is something that everyone is wondering about. Next year, you were talking to me earlier about how it's important to go ahead and plan for that, especially if you fall into a specific group where next year's tax changes could really affect you. Tell me about that real
Yeah,
quick.
a lot has changed in beginning 2018, which means we're not really going to feel the effect until filing season of 2019. This current filing season, everything stays under the old laws. But a lot has changed, meaning if you are a homeowner, you may not be able to write off your mortgage interest potentially because you won't have enough under the new laws with the increased standard deduction. 529 plans, folks who have children, it used to be that you can only use money from college savings accounts, 529 plans to pay for your kids' college tuition. Now it's been changed to K through 12, so if you're sending your kids to private school, you can also use that. Small business owners are going to be hugely impacted with a new 20% deduction to the bottom line,
Wow.
which could be beneficial to them.
So you're saying maybe take a look at that with an expert early on this year.
Sooner than later.
Sooner than later. Okay, if I want to find out more from you, you're the tax guy. How do I do that? You're online.
Certainly. Our website is savvytaxguy.com, or folks can reach us by phone at 888-9-POOLOS.
And don't forget that that there's a deadline. What is the deadline?
April 17th this year. 15th is on a Sunday, rolls over to Monday, but Emancipation Day in D.C. is a holiday, federal holiday, so we go to Tuesday, so we have 2 extra days.
And if you've been filing your taxes on your own and you do have a major life change, it's worth to ask an expert about this. And make sure that they're a qualified expert as well.
Someone who's licensed and has knowledge and skills to help you out.
Thank you so much, Andrew, for coming on Weekend Today.
Thank you for having me on.
We hope that this was helpful. I know it was for me.